Thanks for joining us. Continuing on with the Canon exploration, Jared. We've both got copies of the 2 Canon Film Guide volumes. And tonight's film will be 1984's Missing in Action, which is obviously following on from last week where we did 1980. Was it also 1984? No, 1987. Death Wish 4, The Crackdown. So, we're right in the canon, the meat of canon.
Just right in the grip of the
Just
canon.
quietly, those books are excellent.
Yeah.
Like, really sort of, let people know, get out there and get them because it's a really solid exploration. And deep. It goes all the way into all their films. It's a really, really interesting read. I'm really enjoying it. Looking forward to getting into Volume 2. All right, before we get into that, let's cover what we've been watching. Mine was short, but interesting. I watched the new Blumhouse one, Afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible.
That was the one we saw the preview for with the AI, and we both watched the preview and said, that looks terrible.
Yeah. Look, I love John Cho. I think the poor bastard keeps getting fucking stiffed because he's a really good actor. I'd like to see more in better films, but he's just wasted here. You've got, is it David Dashmel?
David Dashmelchian?
He's in there. Like, it's a pretty reasonable cast, but it's just a shitty premise. And, I mean, it reeks of Blumhouse. Like an interesting kind of premise, the whole AI sort of thing.
Yep.
But it just doesn't go anywhere. And something like Megan is similar, but executed much, much better. So I wouldn't waste my time. I also watched Nemesis 2, Jared.
Okay.
Should it be called Nemesis?
Possibly.
Just asking.
Where things start to go a little off track with the Nemesis series.
I told you that Albert Pune directed action really well. I take it all back.
You haven't even seen 3 yet.
His efforts in this are just shocking. And he wrote the script. It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. It seems to be like Predator.
Yeah,
that was kind of what I got out of it. The whole nebulous Nebula or whatever he was called.
Which shouldn't be
hard.
It shouldn't be difficult. You're riffing off a fairly straightforward plot.
Yeah.
Plot element there.
And, I've never in my life been so desperate to see Oliver Grunier.
Yeah.
Because the acting is just shocking.
Or less running.
Yeah, there's a lot of running. A lot of running. Holy shit. I think it was just to pad out the runtime.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It was just diabolical. Fuck. I will sit through the rest of these things. But
3 through 5 is the worst part.
The only one I can't find is 4.
Yeah, okay.
It's not.
Might have to book yourself a book a trip.
Yeah. Yeah. Might have to get into cattle class.
Either that or pay for a Skinamax subscription.
According to you, it's more of a smut peddler's film. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be fucking hard though, Jared. I mean, you sat through them.
Yeah.
You know how hard this is.
Two was not enjoyable when I was watching it, but once I started part 3, I was wishing for 2. So
far out. Whew. Dear, oh dear. And the last one for me, I went into drama territory, and I'm surprised I haven't actually seen this, but I watched I, Tonya.
Yeah.
That Tonya Harding.
Yep.
Really good.
Yeah.
I liked it. It's fucking fantastic performances, the starters, but I like the way it's done. It's kind of almost like we've got everyone else's, every person's perspective, and they're all fucking totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tonya sees it one way, and bloody Jeff Gulugi or whatever his name is sees it totally differently. Like she's saying he used to beat the shit out of me, and he's just there going, I would never have, I've never hit anyone in my life, and all this kind of shit. It was good. I thought it was good, and really good performances from Alison Janney and Margot Robbie. Margot Robbie's excellent.
I recall Alison Janney being
she was fantastic.
In there.
So was Sebastian Stan. He's a nice little. I also love the guy that was supposedly the bodyguard who set it all up. And there's a sequence where he says to the cops, "I wouldn't have said anything." Yeah, like Yeah, I've got I'm like a vault. And it just cuts to all these shots of him standing around in the bar going, you know that shit with Nancy Kerrigan. Yeah, I said that was my crew that did that.
Yeah.
It was good stuff. But look, that's it for me.
Right. Okay.
You're back at work, aren't you? So surely you've fucking tapered.
Oh,
Nah.
a little bit. I watched Death Wish 5.
Yeah, how's that? Charles was looking very tired in 4.
Yeah, it's definitely the worst one. Like it's pretty bad. Michael Park. I love Michael Park, but he just seems miscast. He's like the head of a crime group, but he just has those moments where he sort of goofs off a little bit. It's kind of, I don't know. He just doesn't really fit. I mean, I've seen him. What was the Chuck Norris one where he was the bad guy? I can't remember what it was called. I watched it recently. No, it was one of the later ones. It was a similar sort of thing where I just don't feel like he fits. He plays off that the bad guy, you know, the cocky bad guy stuff really well, but he just has these moments where you get, you know, those little bits. I half expect him to start talking about you fighting like a goddamn pack mule and all that sort of shit. Like, yeah.
And that's where Charles got 5 million, didn't he?
Yeah.
He got 5 million.
Yeah. They should have taken it back after it was released.
You know what? I'm not going to begrudge the guy because, fuck, he didn't want to make these movies. And he got to make it worth your while. And then.
But when you're killing people with remote-controlled soccer balls and things, we probably need to rethink where it's going at this point.
Does he? Oh, Jared. I thought the fucking exploding bottle of wine was like the high point.
He's got more tricks. I went back to Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Oh.
Because the second one became available to me, so I watched that.
Double bill.
So I watched that. Second one's actually better. Second one does improve slightly. Because the first one, I remember saying to you, like, I felt like it starts with this animation that's a really cool little setup for what they're going for, and then it just leaves it into a completely fucking, you just get these unrelated people coming into the story, and it's just a really bad slasher.
Yeah.
For a while.
Yeah, understood.
The second one actually comes from the perspective of it kind of wipes the slate clean by presenting this stuff as having happened, but the first movie as like the movie dramatization of it.
Okay.
So they redesign the characters and they come with something a little different. I enjoyed it a bit more. They're still not high, you know, still not top shelf fare, but
aren't those guys cracking out a new fucking grotesque Popeye and some other one?
I went to Hoyt's.
Oh, that's right, Steamboat Willie.
I went to Hoyt's to watch Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare by the same people.
Oh God, was that recently?
Yeah, this week.
This week,
I went to see it.
There can't have been too many in the theatre, I wouldn't have thought.
Well, when I booked tickets, it was just me and Maddie. But I think by the time we got there, there ended up being about 10 people.
Oh, okay. So.
It was all right. Again, it's not bad. It just the problem with this one was it comes with a sort of creepy presentation of like the Peter Pan idea, but then it kind of, instead of going all the way with that, it just kind of loses its way in trying to be super gory in parts. And I thought the parts where it just tried to twist the story a little bit and make it a bit creepier were reasonably successful.
Okay.
So, yeah, they're getting better. They're getting better, these twisted nightmare.
They're moving forward.
Or the Poonaverse, whatever they're calling it.
The Poonaverse?
Poonaverse. Because they're making a Bambi one. They're making bloody Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty or something. That's along with Popeye, now that Popeye is in public domain. So I'm interested in... Popeye might be attached to the Poonaverse.
I'm interested in Popeye. Strangely enough. I don't know why, but...
That's why they're making these things.
Yeah, they've got me on Popeye.
Yeah. I watched The Phantom of the Opera, the original one. The 1920s.
Boris Karloff or fucking
Lon Chaney.
Lon Chaney.
They're fucking excellent.
Yeah.
Really good, especially considering, you know, obviously silent films to modern audiences are just like, you know, we're so far removed from them that it's quite a different experience looking at it when that was the only choice.
Yeah.
Like the silent films we see now, it's like a very deliberate choice. So they approach it in a certain way. Whereas when you go back to watch these ones, same with like Nosferatu, like it's a very different experience. So yeah, it was really cool. It's got some fucking outstanding work in there. I thought the sequences, like obviously his makeup is a standout, but there's a sequence with the, what do they call it? The Red Death or the Masquerade or whatever. That's fucking awesome. And it was on Joe Bob as well.
Oh, okay.
Joe Bob's just come back for a new season, so had the wraparound to watch there. That led into Opera.
Dario Argento?
Yes. Not quite as awesome, but not bad. Not bad.
No. I just remember not liking that. It's partially because the ending is so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty out there.
They're just walking in a field and then you suddenly turn around and his old mate charging towards them. I mean, what the fuck's happening here? Oh.
Yeah, I didn't.
All style, no substance, those movies. The
Argento
there was
films
very
were stylish
much like
parts
that.
of this. There was very stylish parts of this. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of his stuff, but something like Tenebrae I thought had a little more substance than this one did. But,
he wasn't known for his substance.
No,
He
it was
for
very
his
stylistic and very
stylistic stuff.
Yeah. And then back into the canon books, I found a couple of them to go along with it. There was a few that I was looking for that weren't
available.
Just non-existent. Couldn't find them anywhere. But I found Hospital Massacre, aka X-Ray. Yeah, I mean it's fun enough for slasher fans.
Yeah,
but it is so. I mean, every character that pops up on the screen is treated as a red herring. So you're just constantly getting these people that are kind of leering at the main character, or a bit of music kind of like,
oh god.
And then one guy shows up, and there's none of that, and I'm thinking, it's got to be him, right? Bingo. Like,
you can't make it that easy. Come on.
It's pretty ridiculous. And then obviously, it's one of those ones where you look at it and then you finish it up. There's points of it during where you're thinking, this is a little off. But then when it finishes up, you're like, so this guy, had some convoluted plan that he was going to become a doctor.
That's right. And then he was going to wait her out until she came to him.
It's fucking silly.
There are a lot of hospitals around.
It is what it is. And after that, I went through the Ninja series, the Enter the Ninja, yes. Revenge of the Ninja, and Ninja 3, The Domination. Enter the Ninja, I mean, all of them were pretty fun. Yeah. Enter the Ninja's just you straight down the line. I think the fun comes from Franco Nero being a ninja.
yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, the funny thing is they talk through the books about how as soon as they put the suit on, it can be fucking anyone. So the stunt guy or
another martial artist.
The bad guy, Sho Kasugi or whatever, he fucking doubled everybody that was in a suit at one point. So, that element of it, you get a kind of a, you appreciate the fucking hustle with that kind of part of it.
Yes.
But 2 and 3 were fucking. I had a great time with them.
3's the one with the exorcism type.
Yeah, 3's the one with
exorcism,
a fucking lengthy ninja battle on a golf course, which was pretty
strange.
Awesome. Pretty strange, but pretty awesome. But yeah, Revenge of the Ninja is the one where that Sho Kasugi, who's in all of them, he's the hero in this one, and that one involves. I mean, there's a little kid that's kicking some ass. There's a fucking grandma that gets in a blue. There's Don Shanks is one of the is one of the bad guys. Apparently saved the fucking stuntman's life on the set too by encouraging him to test a fucking wire with some sandbags because he wasn't confident in it, and lo and behold, the fucking wire snapped, and so he basically saved the stunt coordinator's life. Well done, Don.
Well done, Don.
But there's also this other funny part where there's this crew of henchmen, and it's essentially the fucking village people. Don Shanks is dressed as in Native American stuff. There's a cowboy. There's
a cop.
It's hilarious.
And subsequently, you can't stop the music.
Oh, they love it. Absolutely love it. It reminds me of playing like an 80s or 90s beat 'em up game where you just come across these fucking colourful characters. Here comes Sho Kasugi and his mate in a children's playground and starts bluing with cowboys and shit. It's gold.
Yeah.
But yeah, those ones were very entertaining. So if you can get a they're on Amazon here. I think I had to put on the MGM subscription for a month to get access to those.
Subscription?
Yeah.
Nobody's got that.
I copped $6 a month.
You must be the only person who has.
I copped the $6 a month so I could get those ones.
Oh, man.
Well worth it. I'd pay it. I'd pay double.
Pay it again in a heartbeat. Yeah, all right. Is that everything?
That was everything.
All right. Let's take a break, people. And here's the trailer for 1984's Missing in Action.
Vietnam, 1984. Chuck Norris is James Braddock, decorated war hero, ex-prisoner of war, an American on a mission. One man who couldn't forget the Americans that were left behind.
We categorically deny that there are any living MIAs in Vietnam.
Wrong answer. James Braddock has returned. To uncover the truth and free the soldiers.
We're going home?
Missing in action.
Damn right.
James Braddock declares war. The war isn't over until the last man comes home. America had no more heroes. Until now. Chuck Norris, missing in action.
Missing in Action from 1984, directed by Joseph Zito, who directed Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. It's produced by Golan and Globus, who produced Cobra. And the story's by John Crowther, who wrote The Evil That Men Do, and Lance Houle. The screenplay was by James Bruner, who wrote Invasion USA. And the characters are by Arthur Silver, who did Missing in Action 2, The Beginning, Larry Levinson, an episode of Joni Loves Chachi, and Steve Bing, who wrote Kangaroo Jack. It stars Chuck Norris as Braddock, M. Emmett Walsh as Tuck, David Tress as Senator Porter, Lenore Kasdorf as Anne, and James Hong as General Tran. The budget was $2.5 million. The box office was $22 million worldwide. This was the first film in Chuck Norris's 5-film contract with Cannon Films, which paid him $1 million per film, which was agreed to by Golan against the wishes of his cousin Globus. So Globus wasn't keen to give Chuck a payday.
Well, he was the money man, so
Yeah, well,
he was probably looking at the money going,
fuck.
Jesus.
Well, as things
You've
got
already
worse.
paid Bronson fucking $3 million.
Yeah, I know.
We need to steady on.
All right, Jared. Missing in Action. How'd you feel about this one?
I probably enjoyed it a little more this time around. Chuck is, look, you've got to just go in knowing that whenever Chuck's not punching on, it's not going to be high quality stuff. His acting is very low end. As we've stated previously, Chuck is aware of this, describing, David Carradine's martial arts
Similar to
skills
his.
alongside his acting skills. So
Yes.
once you get into that stuff, it's reasonably well handled. Like it's just, as you said, it's sort of a cheapy actioner, and it does the job. I probably land in sort of 2.5. I feel like there's points early on in the movie where I wanted more of a particular type of action. And I did read in these books that Chuck himself possibly was behind not sort of overloading the punch-ups and things like that for fear of being typecast.
Oh, Chuck.
I've got news for you, Chuck.
Chuck. Chuck, when you're sort of running lines with someone and you realise that person is just fucking getting nothing out of you, you front load to what you're good at.
Exactly. And I think early on, I could do with some more of that. Like, there's a couple of fun sequences, but they're more like Mission Impossible than sort of Chuck punching on with anyone, which I think is better. And then, coming off the back of watching something like the ninja films where this Sho Kosugi fella just took it as he was a fight choreography, so he took it as license to say, right, let me fucking show you what I can do then.
Yeah.
And just spent, in that one, there's like 10-minute fight scenes that are ridiculous, but so much fun.
Mm.
I could have done with a little more of that, even though, this one's Chuck's kind of serious. He wanted to.
Well, it would seem, I haven't seen part 2, but there's obviously some information, some trivia around the fact that part 2 was actually meant to be part 1.
Yes.
But when they
Yeah.
looked at them both, they said, well, fuck, this one's more enjoyable.
Yep. Yep.
I believe part 2 is a bit more of a slog.
Yes, mainly because he's in
In POW.
a POW situation, so it's a lot of it's just like, you're locked up or you're trying to get out of that. So yeah, I felt like this one there was more room for a little more of the Chuck that I'm signing up for.
Yeah, agreed. I gave it 3. Well directed, entertaining and it wisely plays mostly just Chuck's strengths. And when I say that is, yes, Jared, it probably doesn't have enough ass kicking, which is what I would have preferred too, but it's got plenty of explosions, gunplay, that kind of stuff. It wisely plays away from Chuck giving us long monologues or anything like that. It doesn't try and, like, he's a man of few words, this Brad.
Yes, needs to be.
And he has to.
Yep.
It's not very well acted. Reality levels are fucking very low. But like Death Wish 4, if you just don't think too much about it, you'll probably have a decent time with it.
Definitely.
So 3 out of 5. Straight off the bat, small budget, but they squeeze as much as they can out of it.
Bang for buck.
They do. Some of the action stuff, there's a lot of fucking pyrotechnics. There's a lot of like explosives and...
Which is actually a big part of this, these books that we're reading. They do mention a few of the names that managed to work with Canon a few times were the guys that could squeeze that stuff out of small budgets.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like it's skimping much.
No. Like you wouldn't... $2 million. I guess Joe Zito made Friday the 13th Part 4 on what? Budget of maybe $1.5 million. And it looks fucking great.
Yeah.
But it was also made by a studio, like a major studio, not a...
What are you saying about Canon?
Well, what I mean is, and if you read Crystal Lake Memories, Paramount sort of put them up with half a dozen editors and things like that and got the score sorted out and all that sort of shit when they were rushing through the post-production.
Yep.
They surround the star with... I'm not going to say they're great actors or anything, but they're decent enough to make Chuck look a little better.
Yeah.
I'm specifically talking about Emmett Walsh. I think when he's around with Chuck, the guy loosens up a touch. Like I felt a looseness.
Relaxed.
And like the action genes had more.
You can tell by his face. You can tell. You look at his face and you can just tell Chuck's relaxed.
Chuck's actually relaxed, and his action genes aren't as tight.
No.
But
no.
But all the others are serviceable enough that it probably covers up for Chuck's.
Yeah, well, you got players like James Hong. Fuck. He's made 400 movies for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, he'll take any job that's coming, but also
I think it was a bit disappointing that he dies early.
Yes.
Too.
Yeah.
We've used him a little
but
bit.
But you fill some gaps with people like that.
Yeah. And I think it works. It's probably what keeps this sort of shit's head above water.
Yep.
And they kind of did the same thing for Bronson.
Yeah.
Even though Bronson's probably a better actor.
Bronson's a better actor, no doubt. Especially when you serve up the wrong meal.
that's like, what's that like comparing? Fuck. It's certainly not. It's apples and oranges, but they're both rotten. No.
That's rough on Bronson.
No, Bronson's a better actor, and they probably had higher quality actors in the Death Wish movies than they did in these missing in action films, I would have thought.
For the most part.
Yeah. When you got Danny Trejo, you got these people
Michael Parks. Shit.
The opening sequence, where we kind of get a firefight and an attempted escape and everything like that. Plenty of pyrotechnics, shit's getting blown up.
A lot going on.
It's a lot going on.
But you get a good sense of the sort of chaos that's
and it's well directed.
It also very quickly shows us that Chuck is indestructible.
Yes, it does. But it also gets him on screen immediately.
Yeah.
So, when I go to a Chuck picture, I want to see Chuck straight away.
How did you take that? Did you take it as this is all a flashback until the moment?
I didn't know what the fuck I was watching.
I was looking at it going, this is a flashback until the moment where he launches with a grenade in each hand.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, that part didn't happen.
That didn't happen.
Actually, no,
something in my dislikes.
So it did happen. He just they just fizzled out of his hands.
I've got a dislike about that the opening maybe 20 minutes
Mm.
that I'll get into later. But look, I want Chuck on screen straight away, Jared,
Yeah.
because
And
I come to see Chuck.
Chuck doing Chuck things straight
Yes. I don't
With
want
no
Chuck trying to
stuffing
fucking,
around.
to be or not to be,
away. Yeah, yeah.
because I walk out. Like Armour said,
Exactly,
I walk out,
exactly.
Jared.
Yep. I also think like just the basis of the movie itself is sound enough to get Chuck going.
Well,
This
that's
whole
where
idea of-
Rambo was at too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Rambo was going down this path as well.
Yep. He's
Um,
kind of going back in, and I like that they sort of play it early on that he kind of gets blindsided.
Yes.
Like he thinks he's going in there to help on some
And
sort
then they're
of.
talking about war crimes.
I mean,
like that.
why you would bring Chuck Norris to what he seemingly thought was a discussion of some sort?
Yeah, I'm not bringing Chuck to a diplomacy meeting.
But then, you know,
Certainly
he
not
gets-
when it's fucking international.
Yeah, he gets blindsided, and obviously we see, okay, he's got a plan. He's brought his cat burglar gear.
I've got a lot of things to say about his fucking wardrobe. Because we get numerous different Chucks.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we get casual Chuck. We get fucking, dolled up Chuck.
It's like the bloody Action Man toy series or something. You get the whole
whole
line.
package. It's pretty well choreographed too, and this is something that Zito. I always admired Zito when you read about him. He slaved away in the salt mines at low budget stuff, but he never fucking sort of looked down on it. Could have looked down on a Friday the 13th. He could have looked down on a Missing in Action. He might have thought he was better than material or whatever, but he never did. And I think he always tried to stretch it as well as it could go.
Mm.
And it shows. I think he would have had a much better career. He's one of these guys who a break here and there would have done some good things, I reckon.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Because he always looked at the material as, well, this is what we're fucking dealing with. Let's make the best version of that.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, he said,
You walk
"Fuck,
into the office and you throw his script out and go, right,
this is what we're
this is
doing.
what we're fucking dealing with. So let's just, let's not treat it like we're
Well,
above it.
There's a quote by the writer of Friday the 13th Part 4 in Crystal Lake Memories where he says he was kind of like shit canning Friday the 13th and all that, and Zito was like, fucking, who the fuck do you think you are?
Yeah.
You're not better than this material. So let's put the best version of it as we can.
Yep.
I think he does a great job here, directorially.
Yep.
He gives it a little bit of,
A little bit of sizzle here and there.
His sizzle reel in '84 would have been fucking kick ass. I can't believe he couldn't score a job. He could not score a job.
Yeah, well, he didn't think he was above the material, but everybody else did once they saw it, even though
that's
he
right.
did pretty good work on it.
That's right. Honest to goodness, mate, is Chuck Norris the hairiest motherfucker in the world?
He might be.
He wakes up and he's dead set. He's got an open shirt, but he's got a fucking grey sweater on underneath it.
Yeah.
He looks like fucking Sasquatch. Like, no disrespect, Chuck. I know you're 80 and all that, but fuck. Shave yourself down, like
Is that what happens when you drink?
Pre-film.
Is that what happens when you drink morning kick or one of the other roundhouse rations? You just start to sprout hair
We
all over the
talked-
place.
You turn into a fucking werewolf. But yeah, we talked about drinking that stuff and then thought better of it.
No, we didn't think better of it. I couldn't find it in Australia. Obviously, you can't legally import
No,
the shit.
it's probably got roids in it.
Well, yeah, you have a cup, then you wake up the next morning, and like you said, you look like fucking Sasquatch. Like, I don't want to drink it if that's the case.
Fuck me, I'm not going to lie. I don't want to see what Chuck's got going on downstairs. It needs a full gut.
He peels back the sheets, and he's just like, I don't know. He's absolutely
Unbelievable.
covered in it.
He's so fucking manly. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. I also like one of his quips, even though, again, the delivery
Was it for killing assholes like you?
No, it was, you don't know anything about me, to the bird, and then she kind of rattles off all these details about him and kind of looks at him and he's like I said, you don't know anything about me.
And Chuck actually gives us a wry smile there.
He does.
This is the thing.
That's what you need from Chuck. You keep it short and sharp.
But that was relaxed Chuck.
Yeah,
Like I got a sense of that
that
smile.
was nightcap Chuck.
I thought, I'm not joking, I thought Chuck legitimately was happy when he
So
spoke
in
there.
your Action Man Chuck series, you've got all the
Nightcap.
outfits, but Nightcap Chuck is the only one that comes with the extra head to switch it out for just a wry smile.
Yeah, I know.
It's
I
just
know.
a small one. You still can't see any teeth.
Okay, well, let's run through his fucking his looks. He starts with when he turns up in Vietnam. He turns up and he's in what I like to call casual Chuck.
Casual Chuck.
Which is a pair of jeans, cowboy boots, a fucking denim collared shirt, pair of aviators,
Yep.
and some sort of jacket. It's a light jacket.
Was that the same one that he woke up in the hotel room, or
I
was that
think
also
so.
a different look?
Yeah, that's
That
drunken
could be
Chuck.
ultra casual Chuck.
No, that's hungover Chuck.
I'll go with Chuck.
Hungover Chuck. His jeans. His jeans, denim shirt, open,
Yes.
and then nothing
And a
else.
grey sweater underneath.
And a grey sweater underneath, yeah. Okay, so that was casual Chuck. Then we've got what I like to call sort of dining out Chuck. Like formal dinner Chuck. Formal occasion Chuck.
Evening wear Chuck.
Evening wear Chuck, which is, Jared, jeans, some sort of looks like a flannel, and then a jacket that you would see at a fucking rodeo. For sure you'd see it at a rodeo. That's
on one of the clowns that's fucking running the
yeah, chases the fucking bull out of the thing. So that's evening Chuck. Then we've got nightcap Chuck, which is fucking basically the same thing, bar the jacket.
Yeah.
And then he switches that down into black trousers, black shirt,
Yeah. That's cat burglar.
black gloves, and burglar Chuck. And I must admit, I did get a slight laugh out of when he comes over for a nightcap and immediately drops trowel. Like he turns around and goes, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah. Doesn't he say something along the lines
Yeah, he
of,
throws
"Can you
in a
turn
little
around?
quip.
I'm
Yeah,
shy."
I'm kind of shy. Yeah, he kind of quips. Again, I thought I saw a wry smile. And I was thinking to myself, has he been fucking, working with Sir Lawrence Olivier? Because Christ,
He's starting to stretch his range
He's
a little
starting to
bit.
stretch his range. Do a wry smile, Chuck.
Yeah. He's very relaxed under noted craftsman Joseph
Yeah,
Zito.
well, we said Zito was a craftsman. And he shows his craft here.
I actually like the idea of him, the whole sneaking out of the room and
Yeah.
with the guards on the door and things like that. I mean, he takes fucking forever
I know.
to shimmy
I know.
across the room.
I know, Chuck.
Or,
just fucking
one person
fall on-
looks up.
Just fall on one of those guns. Let's get this over
Yeah.
with.
And then, sort of.
Dress up as a waiter and go out the back door.
Yeah. Jump in the garbage bin.
Waiter
or
truck.
something.
Waiter Chuck.
I think
Also a look.
I think when he gets in there with James Hong, though, and kind of tells him,
Yeah.
you need to tell me,
Yeah.
or I'm going to kill you, and then does kill him, and then we get a bit of that, Zito doing his job ramps a bit of, he wrings a little bit out
His
of that
tension
the
getting
chase
back in.
to the again. Someone's going to notice when you fucking cause a blackout on the roof there by clipping one of those cables that starts bloody sparking away, but him racing back in and then quickly stripping off and grabbing the girl and
Yeah.
just jumping into the sack with her and whatever. It's
Yeah, I've been here all night.
yeah.
Yeah,
He kind of looks at the guy, and that's where he's not stretching. We could have done with a wry smile there,
Yeah, this is where he could have been like, yeah.
something.
Yeah, I've been at it all night, fellas.
yeah.
But look, I liked that because it was kind of like they tried to wring a little bit of tension out of it, him getting
Yeah.
caught.
And that's where
really
the value
know
of
what-
someone like Zito is, because he makes that semi-exciting.
Although, Jared, I'm not really sure. Like, okay, yeah, you busted into his room, you found him in the
In the throes of
in
passion,
the throes of passion,
supposedly.
having been there all night doing that. But he killed that guy. Now, come on.
Well, my
What
first
does it
thought
matter?
was, are we just looking at the floor and seeing the clothes that you've quickly just stripped off and saying, that's the description of the person that we just got, that my men were just shooting at minutes ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that part doesn't hold.
No.
Yeah, we found your pre-packed cat burglar costume here,
Cat burglar Chuck.
sitting on the floor. I think we've got you. Like,
Well, I've forgot one of his looks. Nightclub Chuck.
nightclub Chuck.
When he's wandering the fucking smutty streets.
Yeah.
In jeans.
There was also Battlefield Chuck as well.
Yeah, Battlefield
that was the
Chuck,
only
that's
time he wasn't
classic,
wearing
though.
jeans.
But jeans, belt buckle, and sort of like a long sleeve Henley and cream. I thought that was his most, to me, outrageous look.
Yeah.
But I also love when he's walking through the streets and, he clearly he's in like King's Cross.
Yeah.
It's like King's Cross.
Yeah,
and that
Chuck.
music's there going, whole time. It's like this fucking electro bullshit going on in the background.
Is that supposed to drive you away from the joint, or is
I don't know.
that's what it's doing for me?
Of course, we were told that his mate was in a place called Madam. What was it? Madam fucking somebody's
Yeah.
whorehouse or some shit.
Yes.
I was like, oh, thank God we've got rid of that.
I did actually like when he sees Tucker and he starts negotiating with him while he's
Let's
getting
get the
pummeled.
shit back. Yeah, shit back.
How
Yeah,
much?
that was good.
$5,000. Boom.
What'd you say? 3?
3. 2.
Yeah.
And
that
then
was-
Chuck kind of steps in with an elbow and goes, whack, 1.
Yeah, I like that. I thought that was
kinda
kind of cool. Yeah,
That was fun.
I like that. It was a playful way of doing it.
Yeah.
And it sort of once again maybe touched on a rapport between those two
Yes.
that
Like you
you're
said,
supposed to get
the-
used to.
The value of someone like Emmett Walsh is like, he brings a class of acting that says, yeah, we used to be mates. I can play this. I can make it
Chuck
seem like
can't.
I can make it seem like Chuck's somewhat happy to see me.
Yeah. Chuck can't play that,
No,
but it's all right as long as the other person can play it. Then we usually be fine.
Mhm.
Very similar to with Chuck with Dennis Farina
yeah,
in Code of Silence. A nice kind of light touch where those two seemed like they would work together. Like it worked.
Yep.
He was a straight man.
yes,
To the kind of buffoonery going on.
uh-huh.
I like that because Chuck, let's face it, he would have been in that era of like, I can't be laughed at. Like, fuck off, you can't be laughed at.
Again,
That's
Chuck,
the best thing to do in
put
these
that,
movies.
File that in the pile with typecast.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry,
You
they've both
fucking hell,
already
mate.
happened. The ship has sailed.
But you're laying into that shit,
Yeah.
don't you? You're
Yeah.
supposed to be laughed at slightly.
Yep.
Ah.
Well, you can be laughed at, so do it on your own fucking terms.
Yeah.
Have a bit of fun with what you're doing.
I really like the little punch up with the guy in the hotel room who comes out of his fucking closet.
Yeah.
Followed by a rocket launcher
Yeah.
and fired into the room, which I
Yeah.
thought was cool. It was,
After old mate's been thrown into the market stalls below.
Yes.
Like,
But once again, and again, this is a negative that will come up later, but Chuck's just had a fucking knockdown, drag out blue where, it's been pretty tough. But then when he looks out the window at somebody, it's just fucking, it's just fucking straight.
yeah.
He's not even heavy breathing. Like,
No,
oh shit,
not-
that was hard.
No.
Yet during the fight, you hear him kind of getting into it, and then then he walks out there and stares like a fucking gormless idiot. I don't get it, Chuck. Like, just, even if you
Yeah.
bent over and,
I'll tell you where
shit.
I saw that look before, Adam, when he turned around when he was in the sack and supposedly was in the midst of
the throes of fashion, and he goes,
Chuck. I didn't ask for blue steel.
Yeah.
That's not what
I
we're
know.
looking for.
I know, mate. Yeah, that's that. Look, it's a negative that will come up. I'll
Yeah.
harp on it a little bit more. But
Yeah, it's pretty standard for the bloke. He's just never managed to muster up what was required in those moments.
Even Bronson was slightly better at that, although he had a slight embarrassment about saying anything sexual.
yeah.
So that kind of took away some of his.
Who are you
better-
laying down with?
What fucking year is it? 1950 or something. Come
shit.
on, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd imagine if Chuck gets served a plate of coleslaw, he couldn't muster the emotion that Charles did about that sort of shit.
It makes me sick. Chuck would have just gone, coleslaw.
Coleslaw.
And that would have been it.
I hate coleslaw.
Okay. The truck chase on the waterfront, mixed it up. Brought in some cars, some vehicles. We shot some stuff from around the axles and shit so you can see the wheels.
Gets
going.
a little bit out of clearly not big time money. Like,
No.
Yeah, that was cool. But
I thought it worked nicely and broke a few things up, and then Chuck jumps out of it into the water.
And this is what we're talking about. When Chuck says he doesn't want too much of the hand-to-hand, if it's action, we'll get a bit more of that stuff in. I felt the part where he was sort of, we got a little bit of the stuff early. We were missing this type of action,
Yes.
I feel like
I guess it was hard because of where they started.
Yeah, so more of this sort of thing is fine. More shootouts, more chases
Is welcome.
Is welcome.
That's kind of why something like Invasion USA works too.
Yeah, that's why that's peak Chuck. It's just that.
Was there actually a peak? Was there a peak?
I'm sticking. That's the hill I'm dying on. Is
Code of Silence, Invasion USA.
Invasion USA is peak Chuck.
Missing in action.
Everything else is below. Even Code of Silence. Invasion USA's got you covered.
3.5 and fucking Roger
Got you covered. Yeah.
Okay. The last 20 minutes is just balls to the wall. I really like the last 20 minutes. I think they string everything together. They string it together fast. They blow up every fucking structure they can find.
Not skimping on explosions.
They would have just said, this is it. We're not using these again.
Yeah.
Fucking blow them to hell. They absolutely blow them up. He releases not only the US POWs, but some Vietnamese ones as well.
Yeah.
And it's super entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's one shot that sums up Chuck's entire filmography, it's the bit where they blow up the boat and they're all laughing and backslapping, and he bursts up out of the water in slow-mo and guns them all down.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's Chuck Norris.
Yeah,
That's what you got Chuck Norris for.
Just quietly, I love that little raft that they were on.
It was awesome,
It was awesome. But when he's, old mate yucking it up and fucking backslapping and then
Got him.
Boom, out of the water. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. Slow motion. It just kind of
That's probably
encapsulates the entire fucking career of the bloke.
that shot is pretty much Chuck's best work on film, isn't it?
Well, that's the bit that people might remember. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like he doesn't have like an Arnie sort of reel, a sizzle reel like Arnie would have.
Chuck doesn't have a. Frankly, my dear.
No, he does
We're
not.
going to be looking for a while to find anything.
He definitely does not have that.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that Tuck kind of sacrifices for Braddock.
Yeah.
And because I love the fact that all the way through it, Emmett Walsh is like, I'm not getting out of the fucking boat. I'll take you there, but that's it.
Yeah.
And then every time he gets there, he just continues to get closer and closer in on the action.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that he does that.
Yep.
It's a cool way for him to sort of go out.
Also loved the wedging the grenade.
Yeah, that was
in
cool.
the back of the Jeep, just anticipating.
Look, I think they go off. I think once you've even remotely lifted the fucking
it's
surely
going
it goes off.
But also, when it does go off, when the other car hits it and the grenade goes off. The
explosion comes under the other guy's car.
Yeah, but the explosion comes, and it's so small that all four of those guys have to go, and then kind of fall out of the car. It's piss funny. Like, it's an interesting little bit to throw in there into an action sequence, but then it's just elevated by these performers just thinking, oh, shit. They've
also
basically just released a sparkler here, and we've got
with a bit more money, you would shoot a bit further away and blow the fucking thing up. Blow it to shit.
But I actually love that moment for the goofiness of the actors.
Do you have anything else? I had no other likes.
No, I think that's it.
I had to backtrack slightly. I still do like the line early on when he says to James Hong when he told everyone that he's got there was a price on his head, and his response is, why do you think I had that price on my head? For killing assholes like you. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
It was a tough guy stick.
Yes.
It worked.
I like that we came back to that at the end too, like that he bursts in with the POW.
With the POW.
That was a pretty decent little image to finish on.
I would like to have seen Chuck take a Steven Seagal approach though and grab the lectern and give us 20 minutes of shit about environmental causes or POWs and whatever you want to go with.
Yeah, thanks for that,
Thanks for that, Stephen. I believe that was, great stuff. All right. Dislikes. Chuck's lack of emotion, Jared. I come back to it time and time again. 1 minute he's emotional when he's in the fights and shit. Like you can see the grit teeth and everything like that, and the punches and the grunting and everything.
Yeah.
And then it just when the fight's over, he's just fucking just straight. Nothing.
What
nothing
looks
there.
that one called?
I think that's called fucking Chuck. Like Chuck.
That is just the essence of Chuck.
It is the essence of Chuck.
Flat acting. It's just like
It's super flat.
can't raise. I mean, he doesn't even raise the bloody tone of his voice at certain times.
Well, that's
when
the
it
problem too.
required.
Lift, change your vocal.
Yeah, get a bit fired up. Yell at somebody. Like, I think this is why something like Invasion USA is just spot on for him, is because they play the character to the point where it's just like none of this is required. All that's required is for him to mumble a line and then boom, we're blowing something up.
Yes. We want Chuck's physicality. We don't want
exactly. We're playing that because the action movies of this ilk. Yes, it's a straight down the line formula, but there's got to be some sort of emotion involved. Like this bloke's pissing you off when you walk into that room and he says, Braddock is the criminal here. Like, you get a bit pissed off, Chuck. You don't then go to the dinner party and kind of just act like everything's cool here. Like, you sort of...
But is he trying to play... he's trying to underplay it, Jared, so he can make his fucking 45-minute escape?
Of course. Like, I get these, but there's no fluctuation from Chuck. There's just no up and down.
Well, it doesn't help either, Jared, that if you're trying to get any character, right? And Chuck's movies, he's not a character. He's just a fucking name.
Yeah, he's a fucking caricature, basically. Like he's
the only one that got anywhere near some character was Code of Silence, where he was the non-dirty cop. He'd had dealings with that other cop who died, and he was looking after his daughter and all that. And he had to sort of showcase why he had no time for these fucking corrupt coppers. There was a little bit of character there. Chuck's better, like he's probably one of his better performances, to be honest. But again, it just there was no looseness to the guy.
No, even when he's doing the quips.
Yes.
Like there's just something that's not quite there sometimes.
Does not compute.
No.
He just doesn't reach he just didn't know how to have fun with himself.
And then it goes to the next level when we have the female character straight away falls for Chuck within hours of meeting his eye. Like
they have met each other for fucking nigh on about an hour.
Yeah. And okay, look, he's manly. I get it. But he's got to be able to speak to you in some kind of...
Yeah. It's like the only thing they use is that little quip. That's the only thing that had any remote kind of like flirtatiousness to it.
Yeah.
Although I guess the bit where he does come in and nude up.
Straight away.
I mean, clearly he's got like 10 testicles because his undies were straining under the weight of his balls.
Obviously, Chuck didn't stretch into Chuck Norris's action underpants, which he needed to.
He
clearly,
definitely needed
to accommodate. There unfortunately wasn't enough of a market for blokes with 10 nuts.
Yeah, well, the average guy's got 2. So,
Yeah. I think,
but it just doesn't help any of that.
No,
like there needed to be a looseness to the guy. He wasn't willing to do that. I
it's
feel
the
like
limitation.
That's part of it.
We every time we've watched Chuck, we've spoken about this limitation.
Agreed. I don't think he's a great actor or anything, and he never sort of was. But what I think is part of it was holding him back is these guys were so fucking. They were so afraid of looking bad.
Yeah.
Or looking vulnerable or whatever. This is the reason why it wasn't until the late 80s when action characters started to actually fucking showcase that they were emotional and shit like that. Because back in 84, you couldn't do that.
The big guns, like Willis and Stallone had legit dramatic chops to a point.
Arnie didn't. But
Arnie had charisma. Arnie
Yes.
could make you laugh, and Arnie could.
Plus, Arnie would lean in.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
lean into it.
I mean, he's the dumb quips in Commando. They're just so dumb, but he delivers them in an amusing
Makes me-
fashion. Like,
yes, it made me believe in some of that shit.
so
Do you know what I mean? So Chuck, yeah, he just. There was really, I think in '84, he was like, he's such a man's man
yeah,
that he can't smile.
No, yeah, you don't
He
do
actually
that.
can't.
You don't do that.
He
You go
actually
to the
can.
bar and if somebody smiles, they're fucking, people start pelting beer bottles and
I do
shit.
see that they're drinking fucking fruity drinks or something. Well, it's the truth. This is what these guys would have thought.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
like you can't be an action hero if you smile or say anything that's
yeah.
not action man sort of stuff.
Chuck falls in that category, yet also has the most limited acting
range,
skills
yes.
to sort of not be able to paper over some of that.
The opening theme music, which adds fucking like shots fired and fucking rockets going off.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
like, this sounds like the disco Friday the 13th opening.
Hey, I will not hear
I
any
love
slander.
that though. I do
will not
love
hear
that.
any slander on the Disco Friday.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love that Friday the 13th, but this just feels tacky. Like it's a fucking movie about POWs needing to be
shit.
rescued.
Yeah.
It's not a
Okay.
fucking slasher movie.
Okay, I take your point.
Jesus.
There. I didn't think of it from that angle. Yeah, 100%. And also in the intro, my favourite moment is a bloke getting picked off because he takes the time to give Chuck a thumbs up. He saves him and then it's a thumbs up. He gets on back and then, oh, shit.
I was just like, fuck, Chuck, he would have seen that. And they were shooting at him.
Instead of giving him the thumbs up, say, get down. Yeah, Braddock, you've cost him there.
Good one,
You
Braddock.
really cost
You
him.
better be willing to tell the family, are you?
Yeah.
Surely you won't cry because I know you fucking can't.
Now we've established this. I had this as a query in my thing about was Chuck snoozing in jeans? Was Chuck napping in jeans?
But
I think we've established
Jared,
that he
you
was.
can't nap in jeans. Come on.
Napping jeans. Rookie mistake.
I've passed out in jeans.
Yeah, well, that's what's required to fall asleep in jeans. You have to be so drunk that you can't
Passed out
stay
in them.
awake.
I have not fucking slept in them. It's uncomfortable, Jared.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, not. That's a rookie move from Chuck. Although perhaps they were action jeans, and he
They
did have
had
his
flexed.
and he did have his prototype action undies on, so he was probably all right. I'm probably reading too much into this.
His undies look like a fucking a shopping bag fucking straining
Like a bag of oranges.
Yes. Basically like a fucking sack of oranges. Jesus Christ.
A bag of 10, I believe.
Bag of 10. Look, I've got a question. I've got a query too, Jared. Was it a good idea to go from dream sequence to present day to flashback?
Well,
Which I was confused. I probably shouldn't be in a Chuck Norris movie.
because the dream sequence I felt like was flashback as well.
Yes.
Right? So,
But it's a dream sequence / flashback. I don't really know what. It's a bit of both because obviously he doesn't do what he does.
yes,
It's a dream sequence. Then he wakes up with a fucking sweater on, heads over to Vietnam, immediately goes into a flashback.
Yep.
I'm like, fuck, mate. I don't know what's going on. We haven't established things.
Yeah, that was a little,
because this is
little
the
messy.
second movie when the first movie is also the second movie. I'm sorry. The second movie was the first movie, and this was the second movie.
This was the second movie, and they flipped it so the second one
So
became a prequel.
There's
not a
probably
sequel.
some shit that's out of whack there.
Yeah, but even then, it's probably just what you blame the editors, or you
Wow.
just like you got to make it clearer somehow.
Yes, you didn't need the second flashback.
Well, I didn't understand.
Not in my
they just
no.
showed that he was in the mix, and they showed a few people, and then we're back. That's the end of it. We don't see any more flashbacks.
Oh, I think they showed us that villainous dude. Too.
Yes, yeah. We see
That's
that
what
guy.
it was for.
But I mean, fuck, didn't we get that just from the way that he looks at him? No, we
Yeah.
didn't, because
No,
Chuck would have been required.
yeah, well, God only knows what Chuck was thinking when he looked
Demonstrate.
across there. I think they were probably thinking, is he
Yeah.
hungry? Is he
But
like a child?
Judging from later in the movie, I get the sense he looked over the room and his face said to me, "I'm currently in the middle of having sex." It looked exactly the same.
Yeah, I've been having sex for hours. And I believe that.
No, maybe it was the look that said, "I've just thrown a guy out a window and noticed there's a rocket launcher about to be
Yeah.
blown
So
into
it's
this
funny
room."
that those two looks are the same
look
because
exactly
they
the
probably
same,
shouldn't be.
Yes.
I'm also going to assume that the wire he was shimmying across during his cat burglar stuff is an electricity pole because it fucking goes sparks up.
Yeah.
So why wasn't he electrocuted?
I don't know. He had. Did he have? There was
He had
like two. And one of them's fucked, so he uses the other one. But yeah, I thought maybe he might have been in danger of getting shocked.
Yeah. Colonel James Braddock was found on the fucking ground outside the hotel electrocuted last night. That's what I'm thinking. He's probably
That's
happened.
probably where it ended up.
Yeah.
Yep.
They seem to insinuate a budding romance between him and I can't even remember her name.
Well, she's in it for
She's
what?
barely
10
in
minutes?
it. Yeah, maybe 10 minutes. She's like the senator's aide.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that is the most fucking ludicrous thing ever. Like, they speak to each other for maybe a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
There seems to be no heat.
Yeah.
I've got no kind of like sense that she dug him or
No.
he dug her.
Until she kisses him before he leaves.
Although in 1984, it was not required for him to like her.
Of course.
He just, all he had to do was be there.
But also, he bursts in and rips her top off and then
Yeah,
throws her
I
in
know.
the bed.
Why do we have to do
And
that?
she just goes along with it.
Yeah, I know. And again, canon.
Yeah, of course.
That's why we had
course.
to do that.
Yeah.
But you couldn't buy any of that. And
No.
as that book says, Chuck's romance stuff always looked uncomfortable and awkward.
Awkward. Him and Bronson seem to share that trait, in my opinion.
I mean, Chuck's willing to have sex with someone though on camera. Charles was not. He didn't even want to talk
Not
about
having
it.
it.
Charles didn't even want to talk about it.
I can't
Jared.
wait to read further into the whole 10 to midnight thing because they did mention briefly about his discomfort with wrestling and nude bloke.
Yeah, I still laugh at that. I still laugh at that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I sort of mentioned this already, but I think my biggest problem was that it really took 50 minutes to get into what I would call like Chuck action sort of stuff. After we get the opening scene, which kind
Yes.
of gives us a little bit of that, but then we go into this
His
political
preparations
situation,
and
him sneaking out, which is the Mission Impossible kind of stuff, and back in,
then
which is
his
fun.
his preparations to get to go and actually make the pickup.
Yeah, but then it's what? It's about the 50-minute mark that he's back talking about the boat with Tucker and kind of is into, right, let's put the plan in action. I thought you could have stretched that stuff a bit longer. Could have stretched him getting the boat, make the fucking the car chase on the docks a little bit longer.
But
Like-
also, shouldn't we have had it would have been an opportunity to perhaps also strengthen that relationship between him and Tucker? Because
Yeah.
he even says, I owe you,
Yeah, yep.
right? So I'm going to assume that Tucker was also a POW.
Yeah, and if
With-
we're flashing back, maybe flash back to them a little bit. Like-
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. That was...
But again, you're asking Chuck to Emmett Walsh might have been able to carry some of that. But
yeah.
I just think when you've got a guy like Chuck, you're not in a position to do that, are you?
Yeah.
Not really.
No. No, you're right.
Yeah, that was
You're
that
not.
was
But you've got to
Forceful?
work. You've got to work away because what ends up happening is it's just like two distinct portions. Like they're completely separated. We have
Mhm.
the girl that's smitten with Chuck after a day.
If she'd have seen him sleeping in his jeans, shirt open, greying smattering of hair from
Yeah.
navel to neck.
Yeah, it's a no from me.
Not tonight. Not tonight.
But we sort of cut that off and then we go in search of Tucker. It's like two very kind of two distinct feels to those pieces.
Mm.
We don't see Cat Burglar Chuck anywhere after that.
I know.
after
And
that
I miss
time.
him.
It's a
I do
distinct.
miss
It's like
him.
Series 1 Action Chuck and Series 2 Action
Yeah, I know.
Chuck.
They're totally different. Totally different.
Totally different. So I think it probably takes a little bit longer to.
When Braddock
Cross
gets
those two
information on Tucker, and I believe it was called Madame Pearl's whorehouse.
Madame Pearls, that's it.
He leaves after he gets the information from where Tucker is from the barman.
Yep.
And then immediately a naked woman is placed on the bar directly in front of the camera. And I'm like, Cannon, you could be a little more subtle. Like, just a smidgen.
We know the name. We know what's going on here.
It's a brothel. They're in a brothel. We get it.
We get it.
We know that part of the street is gross. Yeah, like it's not on. It's not great. We all know that. So we probably don't need that bit.
No, yeah.
I don't think it was necessary.
Probably not.
My last one is during the finale, Chuck just fires indiscriminately into everything.
Yes.
And not even thinking, maybe there was a POW in that car that I'm just fucking blown up.
He also does the classic, these guys seem to be set up. They're in nice little hiding spots. They're fucking, they've got a good base. They've got balance at them.
Yeah.
And Chuck kind of turns over his shoulder, one-handed, and goes, boom.
Yeah.
I do love that.
I love that shit
I
too. But imagine Braddock returns and says, they said, did you get the POWs? And he's like, I couldn't find it.
So. I think so.
Oh, look, I blew a lot of shit up. I don't
couldn't be
know
sure.
what was in.
The country's currently still burning, so when you get back there, have a bit of a look.
When we put the fires out, let's go through the corpses. Because if maybe there's a couple of POWs there, I don't know. You can tell their families.
Jesus.
I've got other
Braddock.
shit to deal with. Yeah, thanks, Brady.
Bang up job, mate. Well done.
That was it for me.
I had one more.
All right, here we go.
It was.
Is it Chuck's fault?
No, it's not
it's
actually.
not Chuck's
It's
fault.
not Chuck's fault, this one. Although the reaction to it could have differed from his usual reactions that we've already discussed.
Yeah.
I think we're back at Madame Pearl's or somewhere similar where he finds Tucker again and Tucker's laying down with a couple of ladies.
Yeah. We're leaving.
He goes, hey, hop in. No, thanks, mate. If you could put your cock away, that would be much appreciated.
I'm going to make it pretty clear. I am not fucking anyone next to you. Like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to a private room.
Yeah.
Certainly not next to you.
Yeah.
Like, fuck,
Oh,
man.
shit. That was not, I kind of burst out laughing at that. It was like, I don't think, I'm not seeing too many people taking you up on that offer.
Nobody's
This particular
taking you
point.
up on that offer. For God's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was it for me. Look, it was an enjoyable ride.
Yeah.
Again, I believe this is kind of Cannon's peak period.
Yes. And there'll be more to come. I mean, we're just in the meat of
Right in
book
the
number
meat.
1.
Yeah.
We're rolling into the best
Yep.
stuff in book number 2.
And the problem that went wrong with Cannon is exactly what wasn't going wrong here. Small budgets, established stars, so to speak, that you were paying outside the budget. So you're paying Chuck $1 million and your budget's $2.5 million.
Yeah.
So $3.5 million is all you've got to cover. That's an opening weekend with Chuck. So they understood the landscape and what they had. Same with Bronson. But then things, I think, as we got further into the 80s, they started getting hooked up with Stallone, which I don't think that was a good manoeuvre. And they started.
It probably wasn't.
Well, Sylvester was
would have been a
asking for
good manoeuvre
bigger,
if you had a couple of different scripts, perhaps.
but Stallone was after like $10 million.
yes, yeah.
Not $1 million.
Yeah.
So suddenly everything's blown up.
Yeah, and you've basically put yourself in a position where it's thinner margins of thinner fucking margins of error. Like,
Yeah, and less profits,
Yeah.
really, because you need to make more because your budgets are bigger. Plus, they were also getting into things like properties, He-Man,
yeah.
Superman,
Spider-Man. Funnily enough, on the TV in this one,
Was
just
the Spider-Man,
preempting a movie that would never eventuate.
Never eventuate, yes. But that's the interesting story of their downfall is that they just they blew up. They blew it up too hard and they didn't think about, well, you know what, we're making money here.
Yeah. Yep.
We just need to solidify a base with this shit. And they probably could have kept doing that. So it'll be interesting to read that second volume. And it'll probably shed a bit more light on where things went wrong. Well, that was Missing in Action. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Podomatic, and all the places where you get your podcasts. Send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. We're on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com, and Instagram at thrillmepodcastau. Keep an eye on the Facebook page to see what we cover next. But until then, take it easy, everyone, and we'll catch you all later. Cheers. Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.